Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you my 100% unbiased review of the new Doctor Who season. It was as bad as you could possibly predict it was going to be. I don't know what the goal of making this season is. I almost feel like it's a She-Hulk idea, where they went out there and wrote the absolute worst possible thing they could possibly do. And then they're going to go out there and shame and gaslight us. Oh, apparently this show has 100% rating on all these sites. 100%. Perfect show. People are saying this is the greatest Doctor of all time. Excuse me. This Doctor is a combination of the Cat in the Hat, Willy Wonka, and Pennywise. If you didn't know that the Doctor was a good guy, the whole time I thought he was ready to murder Ruby. He was just standing behind her, so many scenes, just smiling menacingly. It did feel like that scene out of It, where the kid's at the library, and you just see the librarian in the background smiling and glaring at him. This dude is haunting. And at no point at all did I ever think that they hired this dude for any acting reasons at all. All politics. All politics, and that's it. Now, the first thing I noticed about this episode is that it was written to be a brand new series. This was not written to be a continuation. They spend the entire beginning of this episode doing nothing but on-the-nose explanations for the audience. Ruby is in the show for one thing and one thing only. She is the character that everything is being explained to her because the Doctor's not going to break the fourth wall and talk to us personally. And if you look here on Disney Plus, and if you checked out Disney Plus, it says on the site, this is the first season. Not the, 13, 14 season. No. They are booking this as the first season of Doctor Who. And it feels like that, because the whole beginning, all that's happening is explanations. We are told everything about the Doctor, we are told everything about the machine, we are told everything about his mission, we are told everything about his backstory. They just cram all of this into the beginning of the season. And this is supposed to be a series that's been going on for a very, 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 very long time. This show is not remotely made for Doctor Who fans. This show is made entirely for a new audience. And there is no way this audience is going to stick around for any amount of time with this show. Like I said before, Ncuti Gatwick plays this as the Cat in the Hat, Pennywise, and Willy Wonka all jammed into one character that just looks and acts absolutely ridiculous. We only got very, very few scenes out of this guy doing actual acting. And there are places out there saying that this is the best Doctor out there. Are you out of your minds? So after a very, very long explanation showing Rudy how time travel works, they type in a random set of numbers into the machine, and they crash into a space station. And inside the ship, they find a terrifying monster that chases them. And the whole time, the Doctor is wondering, why is he so scared right now? Why is he running away from this clearly dangerous tentacle beast with giant teeth and everything like that? Which made me wonder, okay, is there something deeper going on here? Is this like something from the Doctor's past? He explained how his people were genocided in some kind of way. A lot of political message in this. Very, very, very subtle political messages. But the whole time thinking, like, is there something deeper going on here? And I'll get to that part later on, though, but very, very underwhelming. So after the duo runs through the hallways and into an elevator, they end up in a room with babies in jars. This place is a baby breeding station, apparently for the planet below. And the Doctor explains that sometimes a world goes sterile and they're building these babies for population reasons. I don't really know what they were trying to get at with that, but it does sound like it's trying to go some on-the-nose things going on today with society and sterilization. And of course, this is the perfect time for the Doctor to mention that sometimes a world goes mad and bands kissing. I wonder what Russell T Davies was trying to say with that line. And as they're exploring the ship, they look outside into the vastness of space, and Ruby kind of asks him, why are you doing all this? And the Doctor goes on a very, very weird tangent, explaining how he doesn't have a purpose, or a cause, or a mission. He's just free. And I don't really like that out of my heroes. I kind of want them to say something like, I don't know what my purpose is, but I'm here to make the world a better place. I don't really know who I am and why I was born for this, but I just want to do the right thing. I don't know, it just seemed like this dude's entire, I guess, mantra of life is just, hey, I'm here, let me just go have fun. That's kind of what the theme is later on towards this episode of just, just go do things. And I don't really find that to be a great quality at all in my hero. Wouldn't I want him to want to do something? Like, Superman could just do whatever he wants. He could just say, hey, I'm free. I don't have to pay taxes. I don't have to have a job. I don't have to answer anyone. I could just literally do whatever I want. But what does he do? He wants to save the world. He wants to help people out. He wants to make a difference. But this doctor says that he doesn't have a purpose, a cause, or a mission. He's just bumming around in space doing nothing? This is why you're brought here by the Time Lords? This is why you've been granted the ability of immortality, essentially, and you're taken in by the Time Lords? This is what you're supposed to do? This is what Russell T Davies, in the opening, I know obviously there was the few mini specials that introduced us, but that's not the point though. This is supposed to be the first episode, the first thing we're supposed to see about this doctor. And you give us a speech about, I'll just do whatever? Did this man just forget how to write after all these years? It's objectively a bad show. Forget all the politics. Forget all the ideologies. Take away every single thing about this, where every single character is nothing more than a gray blob, like from that episode from Fairly Odd Parents. This is a bad episode in every way of the imagination. And he even says, that's why I keep moving. You keep moving because you have freedom? What does that mean, though? You can literally do nothing. You can literally just sit there all day and do nothing with no purpose at all. But you make it seem like, oh, I have freedom and that's why I keep moving. If you stop moving, would you not be having freedom? I don't know where this line was going, but it did not have the impact that they intended to have on paper. And after that really ridiculous explanation, we are then introduced to Eric, a baby in a, I guess, motorized stroller. These babies have been growing here for a few years and they don't age, and they're the crew of the ship. And then the doctor makes his face. Look at this face right here. Is this the face of a very, very haunted individual? This is your hero. Now, of course, this baby thinks this is his mommy and daddy and goes to tell the crew. And then we get to meet the entire crew of the ship, which is nothing more than just babies. Now, I have a question for long-time Doctor Who fans. People that have been watching this show for forever. Was it always made to be so childish like this? I don't really understand what this show wants to be. Because it does feel like it's one of those shows written for children. There is very little seriousness going on here at all. And it does look like it is a show written for children. I know it's on Disney Plus. I get that, though. But have the previous seasons been written for children? So these babies were left behind. What happened is that the adults just abandoned the station. We find out later on why. I really don't care. It's kind of a really terrible idea. So these babies have essentially been running this facility this entire time. Kind of crazy idea. And we get nothing more from these babies, just baby talk. I don't understand. And then as the doctor is trying to understand why did they leave the birthing machines on, why did they abandon the place, we get a very, very, very long on-the-nose speech about, am I born wrong? This is what we have going on here. Statements of, we're not meant to be like this. Are we born wrong? And did we grow up wrong? But of course the doctor tells her, nobody grows up wrong. What are you guys trying to say? Just out of pure curiosity. What are the messages that you're trying to convey to this audience? And the speech goes on for about 2 whole minutes, and then we're introduced to Nan-E, the AI that's controlling the ship. Why weren't we told about Nan-E when they crashed in the ship, right? Wouldn't you think that would be the first thing that a super smart AI that's keeping this ship running this entire time would say, hey, intruders? It was kind of weird that all this time has passed, and then we finally get the AI introducing herself. So the doctor asks some obvious questions like, oh, it's you babies, your nanny, and your pet dog downstairs. And the babies get very, very upset and start crying and screaming about it. And then, of course, Ruby has to go on this long tangent of, oh, don't worry, there's no boogeyman or anything like that. Don't worry at all, though. Again, just really childish writing. It just makes me wonder, who was the intended audience for this show? What's the goal here? Again, Russell T Davies has been doing this for a very, very, very long time and had massive success. And then the AI gives the doctor a task. He has to go down to the basement to find a certain container. And then we're introduced to who Nanny actually is. It's a woman named Jocelyn who did not abandon the ship, but all of her crewmates did. So now she is just staying on the ship, locked herself in this room, because she doesn't want to, as I quote, see the babies die, and I don't want them to see me die, because there is a limited amount of oxygen and resources on here, so they're just essentially screwed. So this entire time, she hasn't really been trying to figure out a way to get help at all. She's just been sitting in a room, pressing buttons and having the babies blow their noses and change their diapers and stuff like that. But the ship is having many problems. A lot of just air pipes are going off, and Jocelyn, of course, has no idea what she's doing. She's just smacking it with a hammer. So the doctor puts in his sonic screwdriver, which is now essentially like a flip phone, into the computer. And it makes me wonder, yes, I know Russell T Davies wanted to get rid of the screwdriver because he's afraid that children are going to emulate shooting each other, and then they're going to grow up and want to do it in real life. But why not just call the sonic screwdriver something different now? Because again, as I said in the beginning, this show is the new series. Not like, oh, the new series for the Doctor. No. It's a brand new series entirely. That's how Disney is trying to book this to the audience. So, if you want to remove the sonic screwdriver entirely, just call it something different, right? Why give it the same name and have it not look like a screwdriver? So then, after a long conversation with Jocelyn about, oh, we should just bring these babies to another planet. Look, all these planets are here, though. Then we get the conversation about refugees and immigration. Why? Why are we doing this, guys? That, oh no, we can't just bring these babies to this planet. Well, why don't you just bring them to the planet that the ship is associated with, right? Wouldn't that just make the most sense? But of course, the ship can't move. They say it's just a space station that has no engines at all. Just remember that for later. The spaceship cannot move. So after all these years, Jocelyn has essentially just accepted her fate that we're all just going to starve to death and die of, suffocation. So after this very long conversation about refugees finally commences, the Doctor then questions, what is this monster underneath the ship? And why is he so scared about it? He even questions, this thing made me run and I just wonder why. It's like, clearly it's a scary monster that wants to kill you. And as they're debating all this, they see the baby Eric going around the basement with a toy little sword because he wants to show how brave he is and go to confront the boogeyman himself. And instead of instantly running and trying to save this kid, they're there just screaming and holding each other and going, oh no, run! Like, why are you guys not running down there instantly to try to save this kid? And then when the Doctor and Rudy get down there, they see that the baby carriage has been knocked over and Eric is essentially gone. And they're like, oh, what happened to him? Well, wouldn't you just think that the monster just killed him and that's it? But don't worry, it's okay though. Eric found a way. Eric the baby got out of his motorized stroller and hid in a closet. But then the monster finds them, and when all hope is essentially lost, here come the babies, the space babies, as the Doctor has to keep correcting himself. I don't know why he has to keep doing that. They come over with a flamethrower and save the day. Why was this boogeyman a problem to begin with if you literally have a flamethrower? But then the babies get to safety, and the Doctor has to know what's going on here. He has to know why he's afraid. He has to know where this thing came from. So him and Rudy decide to go on further into the ship, and it's essentially covered in slime and snot down there. And they find a machine that answers what this monster is. Now, easily you can say this is just a refugee monster, it's just something from space, something that was there, but when the ship was made, it just stowed away on it, it found a way. It's like 1,000 things you can say with how this monster got on the ship. But their explanation for it is that the ship that makes the babies upstairs made the monster downstairs using the baby's discarded tissues and snot. It made a monster because it wants to tell the kids a story of how to be brave. So the ship made a monster that the babies have to confront because they're children and thus need a children's story. Understand for a second that a human adult wrote this. A human adult being paid money, a lot of money, sat down and said, yes, this is the idea I'm going with. And you people want to try to convince me that this is the best season of Doctor Who ever. That the shills online are giving this 100% rating. And all these people are saying, yes, what a perfect episode. This is going to go on forever. Are you people out of your minds? This is what he came up with. And you want to defend it. But then, Rudy and the Doctor are having a big old laugh about how Rudy got covered in snot. And the universe is mad and silly. And then the boogeyman confronts them. And they run down a series of corridors and then lock themselves in an airlock, where Jocelyn does the only smart thing and says, okay, I'm going to end this monster right now. And she opens up the airlock into space. Logically, right? Like, we've seen the movie Alien, right? And we've seen other movies with monster on a ship. So this monster wants one thing and one thing only, to eat everyone, right? But no. Because as the airlock opens up and the monster is struggling to hold on and not get sucked into the vastness of space, the Doctor looks at this monster and feels something. Understands that, just like the monster, I too am the last of my species, and therefore worthy of life. And I should not just be discarded into the vastness of space, and no one is born evil or anything like that. So he lets himself out of the room to close the airlock and save the monster. And as this is all going on, the babies are seeing this on the camera footage, and they're upset that the monster is being hurt. The very same monster that they just took a flamethrower to him mere minutes ago. So now everyone is against Jocelyn trying to destroy this clearly evil monster. This is the writing that people say is 100% ratings. And of course, as the airlock closes and the Doctor and the monster land next to each other, the monster doesn't kill the Doctor. Now the monster just lives on the ship and howls like a dog. But now the problem is, what do you do with these babies? What do you do with this dead ship in the vastness of space? So it can't move, can it? Oh, wait a second. The Doctor realizes that there is a massive amount of pressure being built up on this ship. So the ship farts and shoots it into space as they're going to go to a new planet. The ship farts and goes through the vastness of space. Where exactly is it going? Let's just pretend in a perfect world, yes, this ship is going to just fly towards a place. What happens when you get to that place? Are you going to fart in the opposite direction to not be pulled into the gravitational field of the planet and burn up in space and crash land into a baby paste? What exactly is the plan here afterwards? Maybe you should have done something like, I'll call some people, some friends of mine, that will happily take you guys in. Nothing of that, though. No, it's okay. The ship's just gonna fart, and the day is saved. That is how they have solved this problem. 100% rating. People telling me in the comments section that I'm wrong, that this show is amazing. So after that crisis is solved, the Doctor gives Rudy a key and says, hey, you want to hang out with me, you want to go on these space adventures, and of course, Rudy accepts because why wouldn't you want to go on these awesome space adventures with the Doctor? And as Rudy's so excited and goes into the thing, then we get the only serious acting from Ncuti Gatwick. If you've watched the previous TV specials and stuff like that, it explains Rudy's backstory, that she was an orphan that was abandoned by a church and stuff like that, though. So she, of course, wants to one day find her mother. She wants to one day go to that moment where she was abandoned. And the Doctor explains to her, you can't do that. It will change everything, because that's how time travel works in this universe. You cannot change the past because it'll change the future. And then for some reason he's like, oh yeah, and then we never would have met. As if them two not meeting was the worst thing that could have ever happened to the universe. But then the show ends where Rudy types in some numbers into the machine, and we go find her adopted mom on Christmas Day. And it's a nice moment. You know, the machine crashes into the kitchen, and then the Doctor, as he's kind of doing his intro, getting ready to leave the ship, we see a machine that's scanning Rudy, so obviously she has something else going on with her. Does it really matter? Does it really matter at this point? This show, it's done. Guys, it is done. There is only going to be one, if not 2 seasons. I know it's booked for a second season. That can easily change. There is not a single solitary good thing about this episode. And I went into this with an open mind. But as soon as the Doctor was introduced, as soon as we got the info dump of the history of everything, as soon as we got the baby talking, and the ridiculous storyline, and the politics, and everything, and 40 minutes later, I'm led with the same conclusion that I started this with. This show's done. We might actually finish the season. If there's a second season, it doesn't matter. No one's watching it. And no one should watch it. This show is as bad as everyone possibly predicted it was going to be. And for Russell T Davies and Ncuti Gatwick to be out there saying quotes like this, and David Tennant deciding to divide the fan base and turn everyone against this show, what do you have left? What do you guys think about that? Did you get a chance to watch this brand new season of Doctor Who? Do you think that's going to go off for 10, 15 seasons? Do you think this Doctor is the greatest Doctor of all time? Let me know what you guys think about that.